And for now, we have a bit of a trifecta from JetBeam, which is also known as NITEYE, in the form of the Mini-1 flashlight. This is a very small keychain style flashlight that runs on the 10180 size battery, and this is usually rechargeable. In this particular case, this will be a rechargeable battery in situ of the light itself. We'll be getting into this one in just a moment. We have the titanium version of the light, and we have the stainless steel version of the light. This flashlight design was introduced, to the best of my knowledge, in late 2015 or the very early part of 2016. There's been some discussion and allegation that this is a copy of the McArmy Illumini X10180 keychain light. Also, another manufacturer refers to it as the Koyo, Cooyooss, or the Blackwater Kite light. Apparently these are very, very similar in design, construction, and engineering, electrical engineering, as those other previous lights. Now, I can say that by way of comparison, there is a bit of a lineage in the small micro light that runs on the 10180 battery in the form of the Steve Koo 38DD light. This is a light that I've had since approximately 2010 or 2011, and a little more on as a comparison on this light, but this particular one is made from titanium. It has 2 tritium markers in the rear, 2 tritium vial markers, and this particular light was refinished with flame torch to give it a bit of a tiger striping type of an effect on the anodizing. More on that a bit later. So these lights do compare in size and in battery source. Now we'll start off with the stainless steel version of the flashlight. It comes in a metallic, definitely metallic case, heart-shaped as was pretty obvious already. And I know that some folks find that a bit of a distraction or a detriment. I don't really care because, frankly, what are you going to do? Put the case on display in some way, shape, or form? The flashlight case itself comes with some very hard-packed foam, very tightly fitted, and again, this is the stainless steel light. It does come with a 10180 battery. I believe this is going to be rechargeable, and the case also comes with a ball chain that I believe is also metallic. Yes, it is metallic. So the balls are more of a elongated shape, and we'll go more into that a bit later. On the battery, it does come separate, or separated within the case, and this is a 10180 rechargeable battery. Inside the case, if we go below the next section of dense foam, there will be an instruction manual for the Mini-1. It reportedly will go up to a lumen level of 130, and on the lower setting, we'll cover that again in just a moment, but the lower setting is 9 lumen. Reportedly 9 lumen on the lower setting, 130 lumen on the higher setting. It will allegedly have an impact resistance of 1 meter, so a 1 meter drop rating, and I am not able to, I don't think that this is meters on the waterproof rating or the water resistance rating. We'll be checking that a bit more. Runtime, reportedly at 130 lumens, is half an hour, and 0.5 hour, and on the low setting at 9 lumens it appears to be 8.5 hours. This also comes with a split ring and two O-rings, which I am not sure if they are silicone or rubber, but we do have some spare parts to come with that goes with the light, or that arrives with the light. The battery is placed via the rear cap, which unscrews. The interior of this is relatively simple. Looks like there's a spring in the base. Go ahead and use our Steve Koo light to, yeah, it looks like there's a spring in the base. And the threads appear to be pointed type threads, blade type threads instead of flat threads or square threads. The interior of the tail cap is nicely finished. Placing the battery, I believe this goes positive to the front, and the tail cap is screwed on. You can also see the rubber or the silicone black O-ring to help with water seal. We go to finger tight. I'm going to unscrew the head or the bezel side just to get a look at that as well. And there's a small foam ring around the body side of the light, and the threads here again appear to be edged, not flattened or square. Another interesting point of this light is that the battery is rechargeable in situ of the case, and this is a micro USB plug to charge the battery inside the case of the flashlight. We'll bring this to full tightness or near full tightness. The light comes on. It actually comes on. There's not much flickering. I'm putting a bit of torque, a bit of side pressure or lateral pressure on the head or the bezel, and just a bit of flickering there. As we tighten a bit more to full tightness, it goes to the full brightness, the full power or the high setting. We'll go ahead and just sample this stainless steel bodied flashlight, and just for the sake of checking it, we have the bezel, and there's just a slight magnetism there, which would be a hint at stainless. So it is ferrous. With the head or the bezel side removed and the micro USB port exposed, we're going to use a micro USB plug that is on a Sony Cyber Energy charging device. In other words, it's battery powered. So by plugging in the micro USB port, I want to be obviously very cautious to do it the correct way. That's plugged in, and we should have an LED giving us an indication that it's charging. I'm going to press the button on the battery pack. Now that is on, as you can see, and we have the red LED is emitting to indicate that this battery is charging. Once the LED turns green, that's an indication that the battery is fully charged. Now this has been charging for just about 20 minutes, and as you can probably tell, the red LED is still on a constant, and we will let this continue to charge. We are now almost 40 minutes, not that we had the clock visible at the beginning, into the charge of the JetBeam NITEYE Mini-1, and as you can most likely tell, we have the green LED, which indicates that the battery is fully charged. At least that's according to the instructions. So the micro USB is unplugged. I have been informed by people much more knowledgeable than I, that it's best with any USB, especially micro USBs or other connectors for charging devices, to gently rock those out, as I just did, to avoid a possible surge and short. So the light has been fully charged. That's also an indicator that the included 10180 battery probably only had probably less than probably 30% to 50% capacity of the charge from the factory, because according to the instructions, the battery should be able to be fully charged from almost 0 to 100% within approximately 1 hour, and we were at approximately the 40-minute mark. Now, again, this is the stainless steel version of the light. Set that aside. Coming to the titanium version. I like titanium. I like unusual metals. The titanium version of the light is a little more matte than the stainless. Take this as a comparison with some enhanced light. That should be somewhat visible, and the obviously approximately the same weight, maybe perhaps just a bit lighter. Checking the titanium, we'll set the stainless here. The magnet picked up the stainless just a bit. Of course, there's a battery inside, and as you can tell, especially the body, the emitter may have some magnetic quality to it, so it's picking up just a bit of the bezel end, or the head of the light. As you can see, it is kind of pulling it a bit. The body of the light is picking up just a bit, and the tail is not picking any magnetic properties at all. Unscrewing the tail cap, there is still the black O-ring. The threads do not appear to be lubricated from the factory, and they do appear to be edged, almost like a knife edge type of cutting on the threads. The internal of the cap is very similar to the stainless, and the internal of the body, where the head or bezel would go, also has that same spring. There also appears to be a sponge-like donut at the base, or on the internal part of the head, the bezel. This also comes with a very tightly packed hard foam inside the heart-shaped case. The titanium light also comes with a rechargeable 10180 battery, and also a metallic oval-shaped ball chain. Inside the metallic heart-shaped case, there is also a split ring and 2 spare O-rings. The split ring is also metallic and is picked up slightly. It's probably stainless steel, because it's just slightly being picked up by the magnet. Also, instructions on the inside of the case. We've already looked at those. I'm sure that they are identical to what was in the stainless. The battery comes in a small Ziploc baggie. I would imagine that it is also pre-charged, probably at about the same capacity as the battery for the stainless steel version. The spring on the inside, as you can see. And tightening the tail cap firmly, and tightening the body end to on, and then fully tightened to the high mode. Now, some things to note about the JetBeam Mini-1 is that the lens is reportedly mineral glass, and it has an anti-reflective coating on both sides, on the exterior and then on the interior of the mineral glass, the lens. The internal, obviously we can't pull the bezel off, and at this point we're not going to disassemble this or attempt to deconstruct this light, although we might look at one in that way a little bit later. But the reflector does not appear to be highly angled or deep. It does appear to almost come to about this point on the body, where the point of the blade is, or the edge of the blade is, at about that point. The LED chip is reported to be a Cree XP G2 LED with maximum output of 130 lumens, 130 lumens, and according to JetBeam and NITEYE's literature, the service life of this LED should be approximately 2,000, well, I'm sorry, not 2,000, 2.5, I guess this is about 2 million hours, 2.50000 hours of service. So that's 2.5 with 4 zeros hours of service life for this LED. Be interesting to do some run times on that and see just how well that actually plays out. Getting the stainless steel version of the light here, once again, and the titanium version of the light. They both feel approximately the same weight. And now I would like to move forward to the next and what I believe is the most recent rendition of the Mini-1 flashlight. It comes in the same box, once again a metallic case on the box. This is the copper body of the light. Same light, made from a solid copper, most likely billet. The case is packed with the similar hard foam. The light itself is contained within a vacuum sealed plastic baggie. This is an indication that the body of the light is truly copper and not merely a copper coating or copper wash. I'm not getting any magnetic signature at this time through the plastic baggie whatsoever. So we will open the light, or open the bag. Looks like we've got just a bit of coloration on this. Some slight discoloration. I'm not personally opposed to that. The case, most likely, yes, does come with a blue battery, the 10180 battery, along with a metallic ball chain. And looking down into the bottom of this, there is also the instructions and extra parts. I personally like different materials. Obviously we've got the titanium here. I like that. I like a lot of gear that's titanium or unusual type material. And copper is something also that a lot of us can appreciate. This appears to be identical to the other Mini-1s. The lens, the reflector, the LED all appear, at least by my eye, to be identical. And other than just a slight discoloration, most likely from handling or what have you, identical light, and do really appreciate the copper. Tail cap has the same internals, very similar internals to the titanium. And the interior appears to be virtually identical as well. Let's remove the bezel or the head. There is the donut-shaped compact sponge piece around this part of the internal of the body. The threads also appear to be sharply edged, and of course we have the micro USB port here. The construction looks very, very nice. I'm no engineer, but slightly turning the head onto the body, we have a very slight amount of play there, so it's not, the tolerances are not extreme. Even going down to this point, we still have some lateral play. But frankly, for the price point of these lights, I don't think that there's many individuals that would have a huge objection to the fact that there's not super tight tolerances on this. Removing the battery. Battery placement positive first. Still have the springiness, and tail cap goes on. Again, not extremely tight tolerances. Turn that off a bit. As you can see, there's a little bit of lateral play. Now that the edge of the tail piece is engaging in the O-ring, there's less play. And of course, when we go down to full tightness, obviously there's no play there at all, just before it goes to full tightness. Into the on, twisting into the on, seem to be a little bit of, okay, we're not getting any fluttering of the light. It's just more the contact is not complete. So we were on low and up to high, presumably 130 lumens. Bringing it back and then back to off. And there we have it. The stainless, I believe the stainless was the first version of this light. I understand there may have also been an aluminum version. Then the titanium was next in line, to the best of my knowledge, and now followed, currently available, the copper, solid copper body. Let's just take a very quick look. I don't know if we checked it without the wrapper. There's just a slight amount of magnetic signature there, and again, that's probably because of the internals of the emitter going to the body itself. Well, of course we're going to have something there because we've got the battery inside. Removing the battery with the tail cap back on, and just a slight magnetic signature, and that's probably because of some internal component at the front of the body. So I think that it's fair to say that the actual body, the tail cap, and the head or bezel of this version of the light is solid copper. Not getting any magnetic signature at all from the tailpiece. That appears to be all solid. We'll be looking forward to doing a drop test on these lights, or at least one of them, a submersion test, and some additional follow-up test in progress on these. Again, there is the issue that this may be a copy of the McArmy Illuminex X or Illumini X, a copy of the Kuiu, or a copy of the Blackwater Kite. That's a possibility that those other manufacturers may have copied Steve Ku's design, because again, I've had this for several years, and this has been a phenomenal light in and of itself. Matter of fact, I know that the JetBeam is going to be a bit brighter. Let's go ahead and just do a very quick comparison. The Steve Ku is on here. The titanium JetBeam NITEYE Mini-1 is here. That's on low setting, bringing Stephen's light up to high and bringing that just about matches evenly, with a little more spill, a little more beam spill than the NITEYE's. but it matches up very closely in brightness, at least to my eye. There we go on the blotter. And then here with a rough texture, bringing the NITEYE Mini-1 to full brightness, it really does blow away the beam of Stephen Koo's 38DD. With that said, you know, we're talking a number of years. We're talking about 5 to 6 years prior to the advent of the JetBeam Mini-1. So frankly, I don't recall the LED that was in Stephen's light. And this was a phenomenal light, and this, of course, is a phenomenal one-off. Well, actually 3-off, because I think I've got 3 of these with this finish. So again, we'll be following up with some drop tests, and we'll see just how well this new Mini-1 fares. As a bit of a postscript, I believe that I neglected to add that the Mini-1, the JetBeam NITEYE Mini-1, is reportedly 41 millimeters in length and 12.8 millimeters in diameter, with a net weight, excluding the battery, of 17.2 grams. And it might just be a good idea to, let's go ahead and just check that. We'll go with the stainless version, and we are at, of course it's not completely tightened, but overall length from the lanyard ring is just at about, well, that's pretty correct, about 42 millimeters based upon this tape. And of course that's because the bezel is not completely tightened. If we go with the diameter, of course this is a little off, but we are at just at about 45 millimeters in diameter, and I apologize, I said 12.8 millimeters, but that would be in width according to their estimate. So let's go ahead and we'll rough that out, and yeah, that's at about 12 millimeters or so. We'll go to the King's the King's measurement, and we are at just at about 1 inch 5/8 in length and just at about 1 3/4 inch in diameter. So that's where we are on that. I understand that, again, checking the research, and I believe that I mentioned that I was not sure about what depth of submersion in a fluid that this is rated. NITEYE and JetBeam indicate that this will survive a 2-meter submersion. So just at about almost 7 feet in depth, this should survive at least a 6-foot or 2-meter, a little more than 6 feet, but in any event, between 6 and 7 feet in depth and 2 meters depth in fluid or water. And hopefully we'll be able to run the test on that, test in progress, to see how it pans out. A little comparison on the length between Stephen's light, just about the same length overall, and just about the same diameter overall, the main body. One last thing, looking at just from the user interface or the end user approach to this light, to the JetBeam light, it's relatively obvious just by visual comparison that the bezel end threads are a little wider. The body appears to be a little wider than the tail cap side. So we will just check this to see if this is basically trying to make the light so that you cannot accidentally reverse the sides that you put the tail cap on versus the bezel. And the tail cap does not want to cooperate with going on to the bezel end threads. Again, the bezel end side is just a little wider than the tail cap side. Tail cap side goes on very nice and smoothly to where it's supposed to go. The bezel end does not want to go onto the tailpiece threads. It just completely slips over it without even catching. So this is again kind of making the light something of an idiot-proof device, making it very difficult to inadvertently switch sides and of course, causing a problem for your light. So just something that I noticed here as looking at this light device. Nice design. Again, don't know if this is a copy of McArmy or Kuiu or Blackwater. A lot of manufacturers are copying each other. There are certain parts of the world where that's just a commonplace and just happens to be the way it is, almost like pirates running amok, and no one or entity to actually enforce any intellectual property rights. And of course, that's just the way it is sometimes. So nonetheless, we have some interesting tools, interesting gear to analyze and take a look at.